fighters understand what they're making. If you guys want a little bit more money, you should try the free market agency. You should try to negotiate more money. And I know that it's hard to negotiate with the UFC. I've been in those shoes several times, okay? Come contract negotiation times. Excuse me. I know these things, but you've got to just figure it out. Like, do you want to be there? I've said this forever. If you want to be in the UFC, you're going to be famous, but you're not going to make as much money. Sure, maybe if you're the champion, everyone they go right to like, oh, well, you know, Chuck Liddell made this or Anderson, but you're not Chuck Liddell and you're not Anderson Silva. Okay. You're not GSP. So don't put yourself in that same category because you're not them. Okay. And then that's the problem. Like you continue. And then that's the reason why I say that is that Dana's going to turn to you and go, wait a second. Did you just compare yourself to Chuck Liddell? Is that what you did? And you're going to go, your answer is going to be like, oh, well, yeah, you're
yes,
right.
I did.
But I, you know, I'm up there and it doesn't work that way, you guys. Dana's got an answer for every person that thinks that they deserve more money because he's dealt with this every contract negotiation since they've had the UFC. So when you come to him, you think you have something new to your game that you're going to add to him when it comes contract negotiations. He's already been told that since Tito and Chuck and Randy and everybody else. He's been there. So whatever you say to him, he's already heard and he's already got the answer for. So if you guys want more money, when it comes to Paige, when it comes to Tim Kennedy, like, and I've got a lot of love for Tim. I know Tim. Paige, I don't know as well. But you guys either should have negotiated more money from the beginning. That was one. And two is try the free market agency, whether it's one, whether it's PFL, whether it's Bellator. You know, I don't care. But putting yourself out there for someone to overbid, look what it did for Anthony Johnson. They cut him. He went to, it was called World Series of Fighting at the time. He went over there and beat a couple guys. One of them, I think, being Andrei Arlovsky, correct? Beats him. Dana and Joe and all those, he's fucking done. He's never fighting in the UFC again. Comes back, signs a contract worth way more than what he was making when he fucking left. So don't tell me.
Now?
And now
if he comes back again,
let me just tell you now, he's making a fucking ton of money. Ton of money. So his new contract is fucking loaded. So when he said he wouldn't come back for any less than $1 million, well, let me just tell you, they're pretty damn close. So for someone that was like left the first time on bad terms, came back. If you win any organization, if you're winning, when your contract's up, try it again. Go somewhere else. Go back to the UFC. Don't think that the UFC will not take you back if you're winning. If you're winning, they will take you back.
One of the things that people hear numbers, Josh, and it's like let's go to the Ultimate Fighter show. All right. Because what do they constantly hear out of Dana is a $100,000 contract. All right. Now that sounds great, but that doesn't mean that they're getting $100,000 per fight.
No.
What they're getting is a 6-fight to 8-fight contract that will lead up to a total of $100,000 or a little bit more. You know, because their first fight under that contract, I think it used to be 10-10. Then 12-12, 14-14, 16-16, 18-18, 20-20. That's how you're getting your $100,000 contract.
Yeah.
So, you had guys, Brendan Schaub being one, and he talked about it. He was fighting Crow Cop, I think for 12-12. That's not a fight. Crow Cop's getting a lot of money. Trust me. Now he's earned it. And you can look and say, there's that line of, you got on the Ultimate Fighter because no one knew you, and it helped make you somebody that people know. And so it is the UFC that has generated that platform that now people are starting to know you in, that can help you with sponsors and things like that. But when you're fighting for those under that contract, that's why people look and say, I wasn't making any money. Now, Paige is in a different situation. Paige is in a situation where she came from Invicta, in a couple of fights, signed with UFC. You don't have to sign with UFC.
Yeah.
If you don't like the money, don't sign with them and stay with a promotion that's going to pay you more money. You can do that. But at this point, I don't blame Paige for just finding out. Go and find out. You may come back. Maybe the UFC will be the promotion that offers you the most money or the best package overall.
Yeah.
But it will force them to possibly offer you more than they want if you go and you're looking in other places, because now they know, well, that's a person that other people would like to have. And we want to keep her in our promotion. So we're willing to pay her more than we were paying her in the past to keep her in the promotion. That's how you make more money. There's nothing wrong with what she's doing. It's the right thing.
Yeah. Okay, so she said if she would have had a normal job, she'd make more money. She also was plagued with injuries, and I'm not trying to like bash on her. I'm just simply saying she was plagued with injuries. She hasn't fought for a while, and she came back and then did fight, and then she hasn't fought again for a while. She's gone through phases with injuries, and that's expected to be in the sport that we're in. But as far as with Tim, I want to just point out, this goes with all fighters. The one thing, sure, we could all had 9-to-5 jobs, working as a garbage man, working as a tech guy, working as whatever, working the front desk at the fucking McDonald's. The issue is, though, is that when you take our job versus their jobs, I got to go there every single day. Sure, I go to the gym every day, but I'm only there for 2 hours, 1 in the morning, 1 in the evening, 4 hours of the day. And I'm having fun with people I enjoy being around, and I'm living my dream. So when you want to compare the two things, I could give two shits about a fucking garbage man, because that's not the job I chose. I also have freedom to go to the park, to go to the water park with my kids, or, for anyone that has these, has kids and wants to be out there with, they can go out there and play catch, can go out there and do whatever it is they want to do on their free time without training. If they don't want, they can take a fight without training. Wouldn't recommend it, but they have the freedoms to do whatever the hell they want. And they don't have to worry about going to work the next day. So you can't compare the two things, honestly.
And also, you also have to look at, I'll say that Paige is not, she's not lying about, she could have made more money in a normal job than what she's been paid by the UFC. But then again, you've got to also look at all of the ancillary things that have come with her fighting for the UFC. Let's talk about like Dancing with the Stars and all of those things. She made money off of those things, Josh.
Yeah.
That's money she wouldn't have made if she wasn't with the UFC.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so it's not fight money, but it's money. And then there's things like Reebok deals and things like that she's made money. Yeah. So being part of the UFC has helped her make money outside of fighting. I don't think she's considering those elements along in her statement of, I would have made more money.
I think with girls, maybe I'm reading into this wrong. I think with women.
Thank you. You're good.
Good call on that. That was a good call. Fucking put my foot in my mouth right there. I think with the women fighters it is a good thing for them to be in the UFC, especially early in their career, because we have seen, and I have talked to a lot of the women fighters that are still with the UFC, that they sometimes will start fan only pages for Instagram. Sometimes they'll have other avenues to make money based off of, of their popularity that the UFC helps provide. Yep. That for them, for sure. Men, not so much.
Nope, not quite the same.
The top level men will make money from their social media it's just, there's too many men that are at the not at the top, but too many men, just period. Like, they're just another dime a dozen, I think, for people that want to put commercial dollars and endorsement dollars behind them, And with women, though, there's always money to be thrown in for women, and I think especially in a sport like this, where they don't have a lot. Like, look how much they attached to Gina Carano. Look how much they attached to Ronda Rousey. For a while there, they were attached to Cyborg. Now they're attached to Amanda Nunes. Like, they are looking for that woman that's a fucking badass that they can feature into films, that they can feature in commercials, they can have on the Tonight shows and all those things. They're looking for those women, and they don't have them, right now. And so with Paige, she's capitalized. Like she said, she's like, I make a ton of money off my social media. You do, because of the UFC, because the UFC catapulted you into, like you said, Dancing with the Stars and the other. With men, it's not as obvious. With women, for sure it is. For sure, they can capitalize on all the networks as long as they're good on their social media. And I've heard of some of the figures. Some of these women that have fans only pages are making $25,000 to $30,000 a month.
Oh yeah.
That's way more than what they make in their fight contracts, which is like 12 and 12, 15.
But it's 20. Based upon them having that platform that gets that exposure, then people gravitate towards them. And no matter what, and this is where you're saying with men, everyone wants to know who's the baddest dude on the planet. Okay, and that guy, if you're the baddest dude on the planet, you deserve all the recognition, and the media wants to talk to you, and people want to interview, and they want you on their shows. Mm-hmm. When it comes to women, you don't have to be the baddest woman on the planet. You have to be a person that other people look at. You can beat up a guy.
Yeah,
that's really what they look at. And as soon as they can say, "Oh, you can beat up the average guy," they want to talk to you. They want to put you out there. They want to say, "Oh yeah, we did this interview with so and so, or we had so and so on our show," because that separates you from the norm, and it's a good thing. But that platform comes. You got to be honest. It comes from being a fighter with the UFC.
Yeah, I just look at all the freedoms that I had throughout my life, and a lot of them came because of the companies I fought for, but also the fact that I decided to chase a dream. When you're chasing that dream, you don't, in the beginning, we weren't doing it for money. I mean, it definitely was not doing it for money.
No.
My first couple of fights I paid for my first fight. It was $25. My second fight, I made $150. Like the next 2 or 3 fights were at $300. Then I jumped to $500 and I was at $500 for like 7 or 8 fights, so, and then I finally got to 1,000, and it wasn't at 1,000 long until I got into the UFC, but it was 1,000 and 1,000 flat. And then it went from there to like 2 and 2. And then I was in the UFC, and then my first contract with them was 2 and 2. When I fought in the WFA, that was 2 and 2. It's like I stayed at 2 and 2 for 3 or 4 fights against top guys. I fought Razor Rob McCullough, Gerald Strebant, Kid Yamamoto. All those three fights were for 2 and 2. So when you talk about like how good those guys were at the time that I fought them, like you're thinking, man, you should be making way more. In this day, back then, that was a lot more. Like people didn't realize that. And so when we started doing it, we did it for the love of the sport. So when Tim says like you could have made more money being a guardsman, yeah, but you also didn't have the freedoms. You had to go to work every day, 9 to 5. You didn't get to spend the day and the afternoon at the lake with your kids and your family and your friends and whatever it is.
100% agree. Okay.